Hey guys, welcome to the Laying Foundations podcast. This is your co-host Davis Hambrick. Joining alongside me, as always, is Walker Lott. What's up, Walker?
What's up, dude? You have a good day. It's Friday. Got a little
Yeah,
weekend
man,
coming up.
that's right. I got to work tomorrow, but you know,
Ooh, that's tough.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the life of the
Name of the
field. You
game.
gotta love it.
That's
That's
right.
right. That's right. What about you? How was your week?
Oh man, it's been pretty good. I was in Auburn first 2 days and got to become a teacher for a little bit, so that was pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. Then I got the crud the last 2 days of the week, so yesterday and today. So high and the low, but it's all right, man. It was a good week overall. I'm living, and we get to do this, and got a weekend coming up to rest a little bit, so not too bad.
That's right. And guys, we're gonna kind of do something a little bit different again. We want to talk today really about the stuff we've learned from the previous 42 podcasts. So we want to talk about top three qualities that we've learned, how we kind of apply them, and or what's something that we took away from it. And then we want to talk about three things to a 21-year-old self. If you notice, if you're a regular listener, you know that Walker and I end with these two questions, and so we kind of just want to give a basis of what we've taken from this, because these lessons, just these two questions and these lessons alone, have allowed Walker and I to grow tremendously, and we want to share this and get this out to y'all. And little sneak peek, we might be doing something around that, but I won't tell you just what that is quite yet. So Walker, let's go ahead, let's jump into it.
Jump into it. Yeah. Yeah.
What are three qualities you think that really helped you, that you learned from our guests?
Yeah. I kind of, like I said, ramping these into the 21-year-old self, but there are qualities that show up. I mean, everything you do every day. So for me, one of them is show up. Just show up. It doesn't. You don't have to know what you're doing. You don't have to be an expert in it, but just show up and learn. The next one's be a doer. So a lot of times people might show up, but they might just sit there, and just that kind of defeats the purpose. The last one's integrity. And that falls under a lot of different categories, but main one is doing things you're supposed to do when no one's looking, which is part of showing up and being a doer. But also, working, not just working hard, because you can work hard all the time, but it's working hard with a purpose. It's you have a goal at the end of it. And it's not just, I'm going to go home, or I'm going to go to work, I'm going to grind, I'm going to do this, this, and this. But no, you need to grow during that. You need to work hard. You need to learn the system and ask why. And why is the most important question. That could honestly be another one. It's just question everything. But those are my 3, 4, if you want to call them. What do you got?
Well, I like what you said, be a doer, because that challenges just me kind of in the field aspect of, you know, you ride this line of, do I want to do all things? I want to delegate this, but in the end, I think you're just saying, be constantly trying to do something. Don't be stagnant. Is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing, right?
Yep. Growth mindset.
Right. There you go. That's perfect. We'll take that from Miss Jennifer Lacy
Yeah,
again. How she
exactly.
just spoken to us. Well, the three qualities I have, I put, you be humble, because in life, just in the construction industry, how it's a male dominated field, really humility is it's just not there out of most people you meet. And really, what I meant by that, by humility, I just mean, don't, if you could just swallow your pride every day
Yeah.
and just show up and be a doer, like Walker said, but just show up with no pride, you're going to move up this ladder. You're going to grow in a company that people that really value you. You're going to establish great relationships. I just think so much of someone that is willing to just give themselves up for the team and really just do whatever possible to make others better, because people are going to notice that. People are going to notice that you're different. And obviously, that's the way Walker and I believe, that's what we believe personally. And we would love for people to really buy into that. If you could show up again and show up on a job site and have no pride, your team will just do everything they can for you. My second one was really just be a sponge. I mean, for most people, you see, once they get to a certain point in their career, they probably stop trying to learn and act like they know it all. Well, regardless of what point you're at in life, it's kind of that growth mindset again, is you want to try to learn everything possible. You don't want to just get to a certain part in your life and that's it, 30 years old and I'm not learning anything else. Like Walker, you mentioned before, you've met somebody that said, I'm never going to read after I graduate college. Well, man, you're limiting yourself for the rest of
Yeah.
your life. Like what I've done just from, maybe that last year of college when I actually started to read again, and now I've grown so much just from wanting to read books from different
For sure.
people and different viewpoints. And that's really life too. Like, just because I believe it a certain way doesn't mean that I can't go learn from somebody else. I can kind of get a rant on being a sponge. But the third thing is kind of going back to Johnny Green, reciprocate. Whatever you're learning, try to teach somebody else. We as an industry do a terrible job at teaching others with no pride, but teaching others what I'm doing so that you can learn. If someone's below you, because we all have a totem pole, I know we don't like to talk about it. I don't like to think there's people below me, because I don't mean that they're below me as people, but we just there's a ladder. And so
Yep.
how can I help that person and elevate them again, as what Miss Jennifer Lacy would say, is we have to teach that person. We can't just show up every day, give out tasks, and that's it. Let them go fight fires. We'll fight fires, and that's it. And then they eventually move up, and it's 20 years later, and they could have moved up so much quicker if Davis Hambrick would have taken 5 minutes of his time every day just to pour into that person, to really value who that person is. And so that's what I think of the three qualities. Any thoughts on that, Walker?
Oh, I love that. I think we can go into each one just a little bit more. I really like the reciprocate one that you said. One example is my boss does a really good job, my senior project manager. He is very willing to explain to you the why behind things, because if you don't know the why, then you're stagnant, right? You can do things, you can have the what and the how, but if you don't have the why, then you're not going to grow. You'll be able to do a task repetitively, but you're not going to be able to go anywhere past that, because you don't know why we're doing it. And so even today, I had a task assigned to me, and I did it, and I was like, hey, here it is, they're finished, send it in, etc. He's like, awesome, thank you for doing that. Here's why we did that, and explained it to me, in a quick little email. He's not here. He just had a baby, so he's at home. But explain it in a quick little email. He's like, I just want you to know why we did that. So for future reference, when you're doing this all the time, it, you can explain it, and it makes life a little bit easier. Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, let's dive. I think so too. It's fun to get to know everyone in the office a little bit. But let's dive into them a little bit. Let's start with humility. Really kind of sit on that for a second. What's something else you're gonna add to it?
Man,
especially in terms of construction. I mean, that, like you said, that's a hard quality in the construction industry, because it's a lot of alpha males, to be honest with you. And
well, that's the thing too. It's like it's hard in terms of maybe. Let me back up. I think of people that have not gotten into the construction industry. So, that's one of our purposes of the Laying Foundation podcast. We are aiming to inspire a new generation of builders. So I'm thinking about the new people coming in. Well, it could be easy to be humble coming in, but the people that have been in this industry for so long, they kind of go callous. And that's what I guess I'm really trying to say, is that being humble and having no pride allows you each day to have opportunities that others don't get, because you're not brash. You're not, having confrontation. You're willing to go and meet people at their own level. I know we talked about that with Todd Weyandt. I know that's probably just a really easy, famous phrase, but really it's meeting people where we're at. And Walker, what we believe personally, I'm going to get into faith here, is that, Jesus lived his life as a servant. And people think so bad about someone that just gives themselves up for others. Well,
yep.
Whenever I see someone give themselves up for me, man, that motivates me and drives me to want to do whatever I can for them. And I go back. I'm just going to continue to go back. There's this guy on my job site. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he would want me to, but I've grown very close to him, and he's older. He's wiser than me. But he is just the all-out guy that knows every single personality. He's been through life. He's had his up and downs. He admits I've had my own mistakes, but I learned from them, and now I'm in this walk of life where I'm just trying to help people. But the guy literally just does everything for everyone. He doesn't complain. He'll do the worst task. He'll go. I don't know if I should repeat it or not, but he'll literally go do anything. He'll go do the worst task. He'll come back with a smile and go, man, that was awesome. Man, I love doing that. He'll go demo. Man, this is the funnest thing ever.
That's
He'll
an
get
awesome
cussed
attitude.
out, or someone will yell at him. Man, that was nothing. I love them. They're good. We're all just, that's his attitude. And I just think of being humble and the opportunities he's had because he's humble. He just doesn't care. Whatever's going to happen, I'm just going to lay myself out for the team, and I'm going to do whatever I can. And I say that saying it's really easy. And Walker, I need to slow down because I'm getting on a rant here. But I don't mean that as like the next day, just like the job's it and nothing else on outside the job matters. Be willing to slowly walk into that because people will throw things at you like crazy and you can get burnt out because only you know yourself and you know how much you can take on. And so I say be humble, have no pride because it's going to allow you to grow differently from everybody else, but also be willing to take on some of those tasks that people are going to give you.
Yeah, and I think all these traits can kind of be lumped together as one because to me, being humble also goes with just showing up and being a doer. Because like you're saying, you got to have the attitude of coming in every day and saying, hey, what do you need me to do? What can I help you with? How can I make your life easier, your job easier, and take something off your plate? And that comes with showing up. Like I first started work, I had no idea what I'm doing. I still barely know what I'm doing, but you learn every day, which is another trait you could have as being a lifelong learner, like we talked about. But it's just showing up and wanting to add value, like Jonny says, reciprocating it. So where at some point you're going to be the teacher, right? And you might even be the teacher now. Like I said, I didn't know what I was talking about much, but I knew a little bit more about the process side of things, and I was able to impart that knowledge to students who haven't heard that before. And I don't know if they learned anything or not, but I learned by just talking about it, which is pretty much how you learn, is pretend like you're going to teach everything, but going into just being a doer, showing up, integrity, it all wraps together as one. And again, we could go on and on about that, but give me something about those three. It's hard. It's really hard for me to differentiate the three because they all go together so well.
I can take this in different routes, but when I think of showing up, I think about what does it take to show up to work, not just to get to work, but also mentally prepare yourself and
Yep.
be your best self. And that goes back to that humility piece I was talking about at the end. Showing up, I think this is another thing that we've just done terrible at in the construction industry is, we force people with so much pressure that when they do show up to work, it's either they hate it or they're there, but then when they go home to their families, they're taking it out on them because of what they've gone through in a day. And so when I think of showing up, this is something I'm going to think about, but I'm just going to share what I do because that's the only way I really know how to do it. But what I do is, I have quiet time in the morning. I spend time reading my Bible or reading a book or I spend like literally almost 30, 45 minutes every morning trying to do that. And that allows me to give me the headspace to go into work and take whatever we got going on. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be able to show up every day because
you got to start your day off right.
Right. Because every single day is different. That's one of the reasons we love construction, but not every single day is the same. So it can get easier or it could be a great day or it could be a hard day. And depending on some of those days when I have really hard days, guess what? Those are some of the days that I slacked off, that I didn't actually want to spend time with showing up. So yes, we do need to show up, but I kind of took that a different direction.
No, I love it. I think humans are ingrained to have consistency. They're ingrained to have something every day that kind of is an anchor for them. And for you and me, that's Christ, that's Jesus, that's things that we try to make not of this world, because if your anchor's in this world or in the things of this world, then it's going to fail every time, right? But if your anchor's in Jesus and who he is, then you're going to succeed. And so by having that same thing you do every single morning is perfect. And honestly, showing up, like you just mentioned it slightly, it also goes to family wise. You got to show up for your family, not just for your work, right? And so having something after work that kind of helps you decompress a little bit, forget about the things of the day. So when you get to work, you're all in for them. You're all in for your job, for your company, for your employer, etc. earlier, but now you're all in for your family. And we don't have a wife or kids yet, but I've seen a lot of mentors in my life who have modeled that very well. And it's cool to see how they balance it, because as much as you don't want to say it, it is a balance. You do have to balance certain things in your life. There should be more things than others that skip the scales or that tip the scales. But life is a balance. So going into sponge, I really like that a lot. I like the word being a sponge, because you think of the qualities of a sponge, right? And it's like you got the sea sponge, you got the sink sponge, but everything just soaks it up. but it can also let it out too, which is something pretty interesting. So to me, going along with everything we just said, being a sponge is taking in all the good things that you're learning throughout the day, that you're showing up for. You're being a doer, you have integrity, you're learning it over and over again, but you're also kicking out some bad habits. You're throwing some stuff away, some things that you don't need anymore. So the more and more you soak up, you have a lot more space to keep those things inside than you would if you just sucked everything in and didn't let it out, because there's a lot of things that people say to us being in construction on a daily basis that if you let it stay, if you let it get to you, then it's going to ruin your day, and it might ruin your week or your month or your life, right? Words of affirmation. Stephen Winston, you gotta speak life into people and not death. And so if you let some of those words of death or things that happen or you name it stay in, you dwell on it and then you think about it and you don't let it out, then that's just as destructive as not being a doer, not showing up, not having integrity, you name it. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that's kind of funny, or not funny. I don't want to say funny, but I'm tying a line now to be a sponge to showing up in the sense of a lot of that too. Like what you're exactly right. Like you have to, we say, or Paul wrote, "I'm going to take captive every thought. I'm going to submit it to Christ," and that really just means that when people say something that is just way from out of left field, and you're like, "Holy cow, what did this man or lady just say?" Like, I'm not going to let that affect me. And I like that. I never thought about being the sponge of wringing out the bad stuff. I thought that was really cool, Walker.
I appreciate it. It's I don't know. It's something that hearing all these different people speak through the 40 plus episodes,
Right.
it's really cool to see how much we've been impacted and getting to learn a little bit, because that's just all this is connecting literally right in front of we
Yeah.
record this. We didn't
Right.
plan any of this, but I'm seeing how it all connects at the same point. And I think that's really cool. What Jesus talks about is just character. And I mean, honestly, a lot of this comes down to having character,
Right.
which is the same thing as integrity, showing it, they said, or you name it.
Yeah. And Walker, I kind of just wanted, I have two things and then we can close
Go
it
for
out.
it.
The second one's going to be fun. I'm going to put you on the spot here. But the
All right,
first
let's do it.
one, since we were just talking about our faith and Jesus and all this stuff, I've been praying constantly lately, or not constantly, but a lot lately about how,
A good deal.
a good deal about how, whatever direction we go with Laying Foundations, I want this to be whatever God has in store for us. And I don't want it to be anything that is not. And so I've been talking to a different guy at work, and he's just like, well, what's been happening lately? Has God been closing doors? I said, no, it's quite the opposite. God has opened just
A
about
lot of
every
doors.
door possible. And it's kind of not overwhelming, but it's just like, it's exciting. It's really cool to think about the people that are wanting to get on here with us and spend time with us and opportunities, maybe outside of the camera. But it's just like, man, I'm really excited about where we're going to go this next year. I've been praying about it a lot, and I hope that, just whatever we do is through Christ. And I don't ever, if, whatever we get from this podcast, I just pray that one day that whatever we do together, we're never going to do it at the expense of others. I think that we see that in the construction industry, how easy it is for companies to just
take advantage.
Right. And we just want to continue to grow and to help other people.
Well, I mean, something that's the coolest thing ever for Davis and I, and this is speaking to whoever's listening, our moms and the other guests, is that it is awesome and humbling and incredible to hear from people who have listened to the show, who have gotten something from it, even just a little bit. We've had a couple different people reach out to us. It's like, hey man, I love your show. Like, I love what you're doing, or, can I help, or can I get some advice, or what do you think about this? And
Right.
like, I don't feel qualified to give advice on anything, but because of the position that we've got to soak in so much wisdom from every guest, we have a lot of just regurgitating things that we've heard before, and just literally just saying things that we've listened to before, and say, hey, this is what so and so did, this is how they approached it, et cetera, et cetera. It's not really coming from us, it's just coming from the incredible guests that we've had on the show. And that's definitely something the Lord's allowed us to do. It's just bringing awesome people who have so much wisdom and knowledge in what they do and passion.
Right. And that goes back to being a sponge. Like, think about it. We're just soaking in whatever we are, and we're given because we're trying to teach as well. And so I think about that as, whatever you put in is what's going to come out. And that's, again, taking your thoughts captive and not allowing the other things that come into your life. But okay, Walker, just to kind of close this out, I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to ask you this, but I'm really excited. I wanted to ask you, would you be willing to be a groomsman in my wedding?
Oh, I'd love to, man. Heck yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I was trying to
That's
think of a creative
hilarious.
way, and I thought, why as well just let everybody get to see it and get to ask you. So,
Heck yeah, man. I'm honored. I appreciate it. You're
yeah,
truly a blessing in my life. And I'm excited for you and Grace and
that's
all
really
y'all
cool.
got coming up. So
I
heck yeah,
know.
dude. All right, guys. That's about it for the day. Kind of hard to kind of hard to follow that and wrap it up after it. But thank you guys. Like we said, reach out to us if you need anything. We are so grateful for you, thankful for you, and we just want to help in any possible way we can.